World War II, also known as the Second World War, was a global conflict that lasted from 1939 to 1945. It was the deadliest conflict in human history, claiming the lives of approximately 50 to 85 million people, including civilians and military personnel from various countries. The war began with the invasion of Poland by Nazi Germany on September 1, 1939, and it quickly spread across the world, with many nations becoming involved. The causes of World War II are complex and multifaceted, and they can be traced back to a number of factors. The Treaty of Versailles, signed at the end of World War I, placed harsh reparations on Germany and left many Germans feeling humiliated and resentful. The global economic depression of the 1930s also contributed to the rise of authoritarian regimes such as Nazi Germany and Fascist Italy, which sought to expand their territories and increase their power. The policy of appeasement pursued by the British and French governments in the 1930s allowed Hitler to annex Austria and Czechoslovakia without significant opposition. These actions emboldened Hitler and contributed to the outbreak of war in 1939. On September 1, 1939, German forces invaded Poland, marking the beginning of World War II. The Polish army was quickly overwhelmed, and the country was divided between Germany and the Soviet Union. Britain and France, who had guaranteed Poland's independence, declared war on Germany, marking the beginning of the conflict in Europe. Germany quickly overran much of Europe, including Denmark, Norway, Belgium, the Netherlands, and France. The British, under the leadership of Winston Churchill, resisted German air attacks during the Battle of Britain, which lasted from July to October 1940. The Soviet Union also entered the war in 1941 after Hitler broke the Molotov-Ribbentrop Pact and invaded the country. The War in Europe. The war in Europe was fought on multiple fronts, including the Western Front, Eastern Front, and Mediterranean. The turning point of the war in Europe was the Battle of Stalingrad in 1942, where Soviet forces halted the German advance and began pushing them back. The Allies launched the D-Day invasion of Normandy in June 1944, which marked the beginning of the end for Germany. By May 1945, Germany had surrendered, and the war in Europe was over. The War in Asia and the Pacific. The War in Asia and the Pacific began with the Japanese attack on Pearl Harbor on December 7, 1941. Japan quickly overran much of Southeast Asia, including the Philippines, Singapore, and Indonesia. The Allies launched a counter-offensive in the Pacific, with key battles including the Battle of Midway and the Battle of Guadalcanal. The Allies also launched a campaign in Burma, which saw British, Indian, and Chinese forces fighting against the Japanese. The war in Asia and the Pacific was characterized by brutal fighting and atrocities committed by both sides. The use of atomic bombs on the Japanese cities of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August 1945 marked the end of the war in Asia and the Pacific. Holocaust. One of the most horrific events of World War II was the Holocaust, which was the systematic extermination of approximately 6 million Jews by Nazi Germany. The Holocaust also targeted other groups, including Romani people, homosexuals, and disabled individuals. The Holocaust was carried out through a network of concentration and extermination camps where prisoners were subjected to forced labor, starvation, and medical experiments. The liberation of the camps by Allied forces in 1945 revealed the full horror of the atrocities committed by the Nazis. World War II had a profound impact on the world, both in terms of the human toll and the political and economic changes that it brought about. Here are some of the key ways in which the war affected the world. Human losses. World War II claimed the lives of an estimated 50 to 85 million people, including civilians and military personnel from various countries. The Holocaust, in particular, resulted in the deaths of approximately 6 million Jews, as well as millions of other people deemed undesirable by the Nazi regime. Political changes. The war led to significant political changes around the world. The formation of the United Nations in 1945 marked a new era in international relations, with countries working together to maintain peace and security. The war also led to the establishment of new nation-states, such as Israel, India, and Pakistan. Economic changes. The war had a major impact on the global economy, with many countries experiencing significant economic devastation. In the aftermath of the war, the United States emerged as the dominant economic power, with the Marshall Plan providing aid to help rebuild Europe. Cold War. The end of World War II also marked the beginning of the Cold War, a period of geopolitical tension between the United States and the Soviet Union. The two superpowers engaged in a global struggle for influence and power, which lasted for several decades and had a significant impact on world affairs. Technological advances. World War II also saw significant technological advances, particularly in the areas of aviation, weaponry, and communications. The development of atomic weapons marked a new era in warfare, and the use of radar and other technologies helped to shape the course of the war. Cultural changes. The war also brought about significant cultural changes, particularly in terms of gender roles and the role of women in society. Many women took on roles traditionally held by men, such as working in factories and serving in the military, and this helped to pave the way for greater gender equality in the years that followed. In conclusion, World War II was a defining moment in human history, with profound impacts on the world that can still be felt today. The human toll of the war was devastating, but the political, economic, and cultural changes that it brought about also helped to shape the course of the 20th century and beyond.